In 2015, Tony Stewart was looking to end the slump he had found himself in the past 2 years. Stewart had won at Dover in 2013, but he missed the final 15 races of the season after being injured in a sprint car crash at Southern Iowa Speedway. The following year, he missed 3 races during the season in the legal aftermath of a collision in a sprint car race at Canandaigua Motorsports Park that resulted in the death of Kevin Ward Jr. In short, it would hopefully be a return to normalcy for Stewart in 2015.
Trying to work with him there. Oh, and McMurray goes around in front of the field.
Huge wreck.
Paul Menard is in it. Clint Boyer is in it. Menard is hit by Casey Kane. His car's all torn up. And McMurray bounces off the wall, pulls away. There's Tony Stewart. His car stopped.
Whoa,
here Stewart around
into Bethel.
Tony Stewart goes around. And caution waves yet again.
More cars.
Kurt Busch and Greg Biffle, a hard hit there. Left side of your screen.
Darrell, did it look like the way that the 14 Tony Stewart went across the front of the 18? He just got loose right there?
It did, Larry. I'm not sure they made contact, but the air off of the 16 is what sucked the 14 around, and that is an incredibly hard hit.
From 33rd up into the top 20 since the restart. Stewart in the wall, and now Matt Kenseth got bounced into the wall. Everybody scatters. Yellow flag.
Stewart has a lot of damage, and so does the 20 car. A lot of damage on the right front of the 14 car of Tony Stewart. You can see there.
2 of the big favorites to win the Daytona 500. The Chevy of Tony Stewart, the Toyota of Matt Kenseth, come to grief here between turn 4 and the tri-oval at lap 41.
I think Kenseth is a little less, maybe a little more cosmetic. You can see some smoke off the right front. But Tony's has got some chassis suspension damage.
See how this started, Darrell.
And we're Stewart's down here on the bottom behind the 22 car. Joey Logano coming up. Look like that thing that we've seen. Oh gosh, he got right over into the 21 car. One of the things we've seen is when a car gets to the left corner of your car, it loosens you up so badly. That's what it looked like. Hamlin got that nose up there, shot him up the track.
Tony Stewart, like Dale Earnhardt a couple of decades before him, has tried everything to win the Daytona 500. Now, that car's not out of it. It'll be damaged. It may have some repair on it, but it can still draft and still run.
Look, I know it's a minor little thing.
Trouble, turn 4.
Holy cow.
Caution is out. Big wreck at 4, like big wreck.
Greg Biffle was sideways and everybody ran into him.
Oh my gosh.
That's Ricky Stenhouse and Kyle Larson. Regan Smith.
Greg Biffle, a lot of damage to the rear of that 16 car. Tony Stewart, damage.
You know, it goes without saying. Cautions breed cautions.
Now, Clint Boyer trying to be way up high and out of the way. Could that have bottlenecked turn 3?
I'm thinking it could have.
There's Boyer. No, it's in front of him.
He had nothing to do with it.
Joe Nemechek and Biffle get together. 16 and the 34, and then everyone else piles in.
Just a big chain reaction.
Yep.
And there you see Brad Keselowski in that 2 car right behind all these drivers. Only driver we could find that changed 4 tires.
Whoa, smoke. Stewart around
goes smoke.
And Paul Menard got a piece of him as he went around and brought out the 8th caution of the day at lap 237.
A lot of damage to the 14 car. Let's see if we can see what happened here, guys. When I saw the car, it looked like it was spinning out. We may see a different story here. He shoves up into the 51 and trying to stay off of him and get away from him. He spins the car out. Tony Stewart did.
And by far, that's the highest he had been in the field all day long.
Yeah, you
just
see
inside
here,
the top
coming
10.
up, coming up, coming up. He tries to get off of him right here, but in the process of trying to get off the 51 Algar, the car jumps sideways with him.
And Paul Menard just can't miss him. Yellow.
Stay low, stay low, stay low, stay low.
Front
stay low,
straight
stay
away,
low.
Tony Stewart.
Look at Rodney.
Not happy about that.
I'm telling you.
I just heard Rodney Childers tell Kevin Harvick, save me some fuel, which tells me they're staying out.
What you're praying is I'm going to stay out, and I hope a whole lot of other people do too.
Ooh, looks like Tony Stewart lost a right front tire, Darrell. That car just shot up and into the wall off turn 4.
I think that Sam Hornish had got a little piece of that action too.
Come on up. There you go, block him. There you go.
Dip in the 78 drove right across in front of us. Bob, go down there and tell that stupid I'm gonna wreck his if I get to him today.
14 come down here madder than hell. That's us because we took his nose off. I ain't tell him to go himself.
I know you're listening, I don't know what he did to you, but I knew you were mad at him. There's somebody else out there than you two right there. I mean, how does he get up like that? Well, then well, then you think the same way when you're racing the guys around that you're at and changing 3 lanes on them. I didn't do today. But I didn't think you did anything wrong either. That's all that's pissing me off. I'm all right with you being pissed off. That's all I'm asking. Well, when you see earlier that day, you don't know how much you understand. Just think about what some of the other guys are having. You're not. If you want to him, but I'm out there and you come darting across there like I wasn't involved in your shit. That's all I'm saying. If you want to be pissed at him, be pissed at him. Why they doing it? That's all I'm asking. Yes, sir.
After 5 races, Stewart had gotten a best start of 7th place at the Daytona 500, but he had failed to finish better than 14th at Fontana. Additionally, he was only ranked 32nd in points.
Trouble! Back straight
trouble.
away. Pow! Inside, outside wall.
No.
Allmendinger and Kane.
Oh no!
Casey Mears gets caught. So does Martin Truex. A great night for A.J. Allmendinger.
Wow!
Until now.
Dadgum. Casey Kane, Allmendinger. I mean, these are cars that were contenders.
That started midway down the backstretch, and they ran each other into the inside wall and then the outside wall.
See what started this. You see, here's the 5 back here.
Tony Stewart right in the middle.
Looks like the 14 got into the 5 and shot him into the 47 of Allmendinger, and it was on from there from those two. But then I think they come back up in the racetrack.
Oh, yes.
Right there. And here comes
Casey Mears.
Casey Mears. And here comes Martin Truex. Well, a lot of contact.
Trouble! Around goes Tony Stewart, turn 1.
I think he made contact with Dale Jr. and cut a tire down.
Caution. Tony Stewart spun coming down the curving front straightaway. There's a little damage on the right front of Junior's car.
There was a lot of shaking and baking going on in there. I'm not sure who got into who, but there was definitely contact, and I think that's what happened to Stewart. I think we'll see he might have a tire cut down. They're back in here. Yeah, right back here is the 88, and you see right there they make contact. Actually, I think Tony might have gotten into Dale Jr., and that's what cut the tire down.
Watch how close he comes to catching that wall right there.
Yikes.
Oh, wow. He may have just skimmed it, but I'm telling you, he was headed for it in a hurry.
Too close.
They were just coming down the front straightaway here, and we've seen it time and time again. They've made it all day long, but this time it just didn't quite have enough room. And right there, almost like they zigged and zagged.
Boy, as he spun, his right rear almost gathered Dale Earnhardt Jr. in 88 with him.
Look at these guys. Everybody scatters and only one car incident. Hard to believe.
You know, sometimes I hate it when you're right. About cautions breeding cautions.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know at the end of this race.
That may be why it won't run. You may just have to try to keep RPM in it and see if you can't limp it around here.
Stewart's going to lose another lap here.
He's already got the window net down. Apparently it won't crank or pretty serious damage. I'm not sure what the problem is.
Sliding 26. And a close call. But he's able to keep it straight. Jeff Burton. And it looks as though the 14 of Tony Stewart.
Bring it back. Bring it around. Good job.
Might have got into the inside wall. Back
Nowhere
behind
to go
the
there.
26.
They just packed it into you.
You heard him talking to Jeff. There's the 14 of Tony Stewart. Might be a donut on the driver's side of the 14. Looks like damage to the right side of that car, though. Anyway, you see a little smoke coming out of the 83 of Matt DiBenedetto. Here's what happened.
See 4 wide. Not sure Tony doesn't have some sort of a problem right here. 17 gets in the side of the 26. It's like no more damage than it was. 14 got into the wall, locks it down. But the 14 was really slow getting into the corner, like he had some sort of a problem.
Just in front of him, Jeff Burton in the 26 got tapped by the 17 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
Yeah, it's just when you have a car like the 14 up top who was slow and they were already 3 wide underneath them, they don't expect it to be there. Oh, you see here earlier on the front stretch, the 1 of Jamie McMurray and the 14 of Tony Stewart get together. That causes the 14 to get out of the gas. He's instantly lost momentum. You see the cars going by on the inside, a little bit of smoke out of the back of the car, and then as they go down into turn 1, that 3 wide that caught Tony Stewart made it 4 wide. They just ran out of racetrack as they entered turn 1.
At the halfway point of the season, 18 races, Stewart had gotten a top 10 finish in the form of a 6th place at Bristol. He also improved his best start to 6th at Martinsville and Talladega. Finally, however, Stewart had only moved up to 28th place in the standings.
We have troubles. The 14 is slow heading into the inner loop.
If he's not able to keep going, that could bring a caution out. This will be a great time if they'd want to duck onto pit road.
If it's still green when they hit the front stretch, all the leaders will absolutely be on pit road.
So Tony Stewart
in the drive line.
And the caution comes out. He said something in the drive line, and the 48 is sideways as well. Marty.
Rick, a chaotic few minutes. It all started with Tony Stewart stopping on the racetrack. There you see the truck coming to push him. Here's what he said on the radio.
It's not like it broke a axle. At least it would pull if it was just one axle, wouldn't it? Yeah. Sounds like it's the rear gear. Yeah, it did something weird when we came down through the carousel the lap before, and then off of one it felt flat, and then I could really hear it. Then when I got to the top of the S's, it broke.
And Chad Johnson said, we'll meet you in the garage. Disappointing end of the day for Tony Stewart, who started 3rd. And it looks like, Rick, all the leaders will hit pit road in just a moment.
Possibility of a championship. Tony Stewart sliding out of turn number 4. And the caution comes out again.
He was one of those cars that were running extremely hard for that chase spot. He was 21st when he spun. Or excuse me, not the chase, the lucky dog. The 20th was the free pass car. He had to get up in front of Casey Kane.
So the 5 of Casey Kane is now going to get the free pass and will be back on the lead lap.
That'll help the points. A lot more in front of him now that he's on the lead lap.
But he's got to take advantage of it. You know, they've got to find a way to get a good finish out of this. Boyer's having trouble. They've got to take advantage of this opportunity.
Here's Tony Stewart coming through 3 and 4.
Gets up the racetrack, just gets loose. Car comes around, stays in the throttle to keep him going up against the wall. Then he locks it down. Never hit anything.
And no one hit him. A 1-car incident that brings out the 7th caution of the day. 10 is the record number of cautions at Michigan. We still have 64 laps to go.
Following the conclusion of the regular season, Stewart was in 26th place in the point standings, meaning that he would not advance to the playoffs for the third consecutive year. However, Stewart could still turn his season around and end it on a high note.
And way up against the wall was the 14 of Tony Stewart. And it's the left front that he has an issue with. Just as we mentioned, a tire rub turning into a little bit more.
And it's so difficult for the teams to make the decision. You know, the driver can smell the tire rubbing, he can see the smoke, but you don't know how much damage is being done to the tire. It's just such a difficult decision.
And as awful as this is going to say, this is going to be less of a penalty than pitting under green. So you see it goes flat way down on the straightaway. That allows a great miss by Kyle Larson, but that allows the 14 not to get into the wall. And now he's actually going to be able to pit under caution and not lose a lap. So it's risk versus reward. Fortunately, it went down in an area where Tony Stewart didn't have more damage happen to the race car, but short of anything underneath the car coming loose because of that flat tire, he's going to be just fine.
I think this might be the initial contact right there between the 78 and the 14, but there was already a little bit of smoke there out of the right rear, it looked like also, or excuse me, the left rear.
That's what makes that's what makes the sport so hard. You have to understand though what size track you're on, what the negatives are of the track. Everything is a judgment call. You can't use a rule of thumb against things like this. You have to understand the position you're in, the risk versus reward, whether you should pit or not.
Around goes the 14 of Tony Stewart, and the caution will come out. Doesn't look like a lot of damage to the car.
No, just some flat tires. He's going to have to be careful bringing that car back to pit road. Go as slow as he can to not let those tires tear apart and tear some fenders up.
And he's already gone a lap down. The leader went by him throughout that spin. So the key now is just, as you said, don't make this any worse. Do not damage the car. You're already gone a lap down. You probably won't go two. Just be careful, be smooth, be slow.
Driver error again.
And you heard him say driver error again. Take a look at what happened.
So on the bottom of the racetrack, he's nowhere near that speedy drive we've been talking about. Just gets loose. Car never quite spins all the way around. Or maybe he does. I think it just gets still wide open in the throttle. You can see it get completely sideways, but in today's cars, years ago, that car would have spun all the way around, but today's cars, they make so much side force, meaning the air blowing on the side of the car, it's hard to get them to spin all the way around. So no damage to the car, but 4 flat tires.
So the 14 making his way onto pit road. Here we go. 2 laps to determine who will win the race and who will advance into round 3 in the chase. Coming back into the NBC Sports restart zone. 220 feet. Green flag back in the air. The 4 not going. They wreck behind him. The green flag is out as they cross the start-finish line. Will they throw the caution? Trying to get back up to speed. Caution comes out. Now the question is, who was in front?
Stay in front of them. Stay in front of them.
You heard him say stay in front of them.
The 4 of Kevin Harvick said he had a hard time accelerating. You see there he doesn't go. The 6 goes to the outside, and the 4 catches him in the bumper, spinning the 6. But behind them, there's even more contact.
95, Michael McDowell involved. The caution has come out again, this time for Tony Stewart, who took a ride through the grass. A lot of damage to the right front. Take a look at what happened.
This 14 just got loose, spun out coming out of turn 4. Then he got into the grass. When he got into the grass, it damaged the front splitter. A lot of damage to the nose.
For 2015, Tony Stewart got a best start of 3rd place at Watkins Glen and a best finish of 6th at Bristol. Out of 36 races run during the season, Stewart only finished in the top 10 in 3 of them. Additionally, he led only 24 laps for the year. He finished 28th in points, his worst finish in a season where he started every race.